shelters.
Leave it.
They had a cold.
Oh, wow.
No. This is where I want to go. Sorry.
He was getting real personal there.
What?
When I was coming up.
Hold on. When I was coming up is where we start.
Okay.
You always talk through the fucking clips, though.
Yeah.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I edit.
No, I don't
everything we
care.
say
Shut your
out. All
fucking
right.
mouth till the show starts.
Yeah,
My
fuck
man.
him.
All right. Hold on a second. When I was coming up is where we start.
Got it.
I don't know if I'd be here right now.
What do you say?
Because I would have. In here, you let things go. It ain't like when I was coming up, 15, 16, 17 years old, I was with guys from the 20s, who were in 20s, 30s, 40s. They were real men. They were tough guys. When I say tough guys, I don't mean bullies, but they had a code. They had a moral code about them. Where today, all I see is pedophiles and rapists, and it's full of homeless people. These ain't even prisons in a sense anymore, as they are shelters. And back then,
God damn it. That was Joseph Mad Dog Sullivan, a real man, a real, yeah, that's who we're talking about today on the podcast. Hitman, family man, man's man, Joe. And we're actually being joined today by a couple of Micks, Mike Cannon, Mike Feeney, from the Irish Goodbye podcast. Yeah, we thought maybe you guys could offer some perspective on
I mean, you really gave us some background information that didn't please either of us.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
This should be fun to unfold.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I don't know. So to give you a little rundown, Sullivan was a guy who worked for the Genovese family and killed a lot of Irish people. So,
As an Irishman himself,
Yeah.
that's the part to emphasize here.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm about to quit this show because we're pretty unprepared this episode, and I watched the documentary, which Matt didn't watch, so we don't have any info here, and it's getting harder and harder to do this goddamn show every week. But you guys read the notes I gave you, right?
Yes.
Matt, I was like, Matt, I think we're underprepared. He was like, no, I understand. The guy's name is Joe. He has a mustache.
There's a discrepancy on how he got his nickname.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, first of all, you're normally a lot nicer to me. I think you're in a bad you're in a bad mood because you fucking lost your keys.
Deborah drove my car home last night, and she lost my fucking keys, so we had the lift over here.
Like apartment keys or car keys?
Car keys,
Everything.
house.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
Just everything that's important.
Yeah.
And I was just
Safe
talking to Mike about
deposit
this.
Diary key.
Yeah.
Like literally, me and Jamel were just like in the kitchen, like Dad was about to hit us. He was screaming at
Not
Deb
again.
on the phone.
Well, you guys are both married. You live with someone. All your fucking shit starts disappearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Has that happened?
Yeah. Well, my wife will put things away with a perfect reasoning in her head where it should be, and I will never be able to find. And it's just, it's like, where are scissors? And she's like, behind the bookshelf. And she's like, of course. And you're like, what? Why? How would I know?
The thing with Italian women that I've learned is that it's such a nightmare
it's like a
inside
power
their
move.
body.
Uh-huh.
Like it's such a mess, a cluttered,
And
chaotic,
outside their body.
emotional mess. But they feel that organization on the outside somehow soothes their internal soul. But it's this weird projection about how if they can't control the, perfect storm happening emotionally inside of them, they project
She's
it
like,
out.
I can't control the
outwards.
hair on my back, so I will make the house clean.
It's like, let's start with the forearms.
Yeah. My mother is mostly Polish and Irish, but yeah, she's very into that rearranging stuff. It's like, yeah, I can't find
So
my
that's
shit.
what Mike's basically trying to do to me. He's trying to rearrange me. I'm his department.
You know who didn't let his wife move his keys was Joseph Mad Dog Sullivan. So yeah, this is a good story. This guy was born in the 1930s, 1935, I believe, and he's a guy who grows up on Rockaway Beach, and he has a pretty good childhood. His dad is a decorated police detective, and his dad is really present in his life.
So
And,
then the depression didn't hit them as a family. Because this is post-depression.
I don't think so.
That's a tough-ass era to be brought into.
Yeah,
It's
right,
immediately
for sure.
a new mouth to feed when the financial thing is at its lowest.
Yeah, it's so crazy, like talking to your grandparents and just the totally different perspective they have on, like I talked to my grandmother. I'm like, you must have just got in fights every day and, and stuff like that, and like
the breadline fights.
yeah.
My grandmother refused to acknowledge World War II.
Really?
Like, for whatever weird reason, even though
She
like
was
fucking
German.
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
I mean, she did some really unspeakable shit. No, but she was in Ireland with like planes flying over her to go, to go bomb, and it's like she never
Did
admitted
Ireland
it.
get touched in World War II?
I know. I think they were
wasn't too bad.
certainly
They
had
had
their
to be
own bit of
involved.
conflict, of course, with the North and England and that
Yeah,
constant
yeah.
struggle. So I don't know if it was necessarily by the Germans, but there's always been conflict there. So that might be why she isn't super open about it.
Yeah. So Sullivan, he's an altar boy. He sings in the church choir, and then
Wait. You said
Yeah.
he had a good childhood, though? Like, you're talking about before 12? His
up
first
to the age of
crime
12.
of robberies?
Well, yeah, because he started robbing people when he was like 12.
Yeah, the first
But
record of his shit is he was like robbing people at 12 years
Well, he
old.
probably lost his innocence a little earlier than that in all of the odd Catholic shit
Right.
that he was
Ooh,
getting
yeah.
into.
Oh,
So
they didn't
maybe
even say that.
yeah,
They
so
didn't
maybe
even-
that's why he like started out almost prepubescent. Like, let's fucking go.
Yeah, this guy's got a great voice. He talks like an old gay guy almost.
Who?
Sullivan. No, something. Yeah,
Mike really internalized that so quick.
Yeah, right.
Well, I've heard
Mike
him
Recine
before.
was stabbed
You're
to
gay.
death on his podcast. No, Joseph Sullivan, he sort of has a thing like this where it's like, I'm gay, but I can't be too open about it.
He's
Or
the
I'll
guy
be-
that makes Mrs. Doubtfire's mask.
Yeah, Harvey Fierstein.
Fierstein.
So he said I had a pretty good memory. I had pretty good memories of my childhood when I was like 4 or 5. My father would take me to the ocean. They lived in Rockaway Beach, and he said my father would take me to the ocean and teach me how to swim. Blah blah blah. Then when he's 13 years old, he's playing in the yard, and his aunt just casually says, "Joseph, your father's dead." And he thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
So it
Great
sounded
joke,
like.
by the way.
Good bit, Ant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like the abuse started with this guy from a very early age.
Yeah. I mean, right? Isn't that have you ever heard of a just untouched sociopath? Like
Right.
just fresh
No,
out
I
the
don't
box?
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would, I'm always,
No, I don't think so. And then he kept talking. You went, yeah, go ahead.
so yeah, something had to have happened, and weirdly enough, like they don't even speak about, what was his parents' relationship like?
I think it was probably okay, but his father was actually 2 years from receiving a pension, so they didn't
Oh,
get
fuck.
any money. So
Oh.
he had, I think he was the oldest of 6.
Mhm.
There were 6 kids in his family, so his mother basically had to like
Yikes.
fend for herself, and
Small family.
yeah. For the Irish, it is.
Right.
They're like, oh, I can't pull out. It's or I'll go to hell.
My grandma had 8. I think she lost like 9.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It was definitely a large number. Like
Sounds right,
Yeah,
though.
the 6. She was around 50%
Don't let your
from the
sperm
field.
touch anything aside from a woman's labia, or it's a sin. I guess Italians have a lot of kids too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that meant. I mean, you guys are both married. Do you want children?
No, I pull out early and often.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, I want kids, none now, but also I don't even know if the answer is kids or kid. You know,
Just
that's,
one. You want
yeah,
an only child?
Well, he's an only child, so he seems to think it's okay.
yeah. I mean, I got
They're
just
like a
as far.
different breed of people.
I know.
Yeah.
They really are. I've tried
Yeah,
to
yeah.
convince him of this, but he has none of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like he was super neglected, so it was a problem for him, and now it's my fault. But you know, it's it's tough if you're the least talented of a group of people that happen to be siblings. And what are you gonna do?
Oh, sorry. Most talented by default.
I'll take it. A ring's a ring, baby.
Michael, you're my favorite child. You're so. Yeah, but it's a weird mentality. The mentality of like, oh, we have to fuck and make lots of kids.
Yeah.
I don't think. Obviously, today it's like people are the exact.
Well,
opposite.
because that's pure animal kingdom shit where you're doing it by volume. So you know some of them are going to be just flat out losers and
Yeah.
you kind of just can take it easier
Sure.
because you just statistically spread your net wide.
Right.
So you're just trying to get maybe 1 or 2 decent humans out of a pool of 9.
Yeah. I'm the oldest of 4, and I feel like that's like too many.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But Deborah's been doing my.
Too many.
Fine. So his mother seemed to like his mother couldn't handle having 6 kids to raise by herself. So he he really wanted to make his mother happy, but she beat him. She drank a lot, and it seems like that was when he first started suffering the abuse. Also, it was when his aunt was just like, "Your father's dead,"
Right.
because he thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
They have like strategies now on telling children that, Patton
Like
Oswalt
their
talked
dad's
about
dead?
telling his daughter when his wife died,
Yeah,
and they like pull her out of school and they're like, everything she remembers is going to be from this day,
Right.
So they like plan a nice day and say like, look, mommy's gone.
Not back then.
Oh, yeah, I think
she
I heard him talk
flicked
about
a
that.
cigarette at him and
Yeah.
said, "Your dad's dead."
Yeah. Fucking
No,
aunt
first-
didn't give a fuck.
First, here's what you do: you pull the kid out of school, you take him to Disneyland, you buy him some cotton candy, and then you go, "Did you have a nice day today?" And they go, "Yeah." And you go, "All right, why don't you sit down?"
Here, sit on Minnie's lap for a second
Yeah.
while I.
Want to never look at Mickey ever the same ever again?
That's a service at Disney World. You can go to Pluto or Goofy and be like, "Ooh," for like $40. Goofy could tell you that your mom's dead if you don't want to do it.
She's asleep. Dear Liza.
Wait, I have to talk about this real quick.
How do you have that in your arsenal?
I don't know.
There's a thing on Reddit. People think that Patton Oswalt killed his wife.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Come
things.
on.
Yeah, come
yeah.
on. Yeah.
He supplied her with the pills or something like
They're
that.
like,
That's
no,
what they were saying.
yeah, or like he did it to like get sympathy for his special or
I
something.
mean, I don't think he needed
Which
the
is
career
insane.
push to
Reddit
be
is so
perfectly honest.
wild.
Yeah.
I know. You
I'm-
ever search your name on Reddit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real nightmare.
But they're honest, Anyway.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. Is
Yeah.
every once in a while, between calling you things that you're just patently not, they'll like really hit a deep, sensitive, personal issue that you're like, how did you know that? How did you read that on my face?
Right. So he starts.
The yes end train is coming to town, baby.
So he starts robbing people at the age of after his dad dies. He sort of goes off the rails. He starts robbing people, committing petty crimes, and
He's the Artie Lang of mobsters.
why? Oh, because
After his dad died, he went off the rails. All right, forget it.
yeah. Is that a common theme with like comics and creative people or whatever? I don't know. Like
Lack of
not-
father?
Yeah, not having a father.
I would say so. I mean, I have a bad relationship with my dad. What about you?
Yeah, it's okay. But I
Yeah.
think like when I was a kid, I like collected father figures.
Right.
Like guys that I worked with at grocery stores and shit like that, and like
See, I've always
somebody to
been. When
teach
I
you.
was a kid, I was like, I was like pushing away father figures, and then as an adult, as soon as I started comedy, I've been on this search for a mentor that just flat out
Yeah.
does not exist.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
been,
yeah.
it's been that has, through therapy, I've been like, I'm just really hacking away looking for my dad.
Yeah, you do kind of look for it in like other places, like the Anthony Cumia show. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've my dad's okay, but he never really like taught me anything. I didn't have those moments where it's like, your dad teaches you how to finger pop or whatever the case may be.
Finger pop.
Did your father teach you how to finger pop?
Finger pop is such a funny. Isn't that the ring pop?
Yeah.
No, that's finger pop, and you took my charger again. God
No,
damn
that
it.
was on purpose.
So he starts robbing people, sort of doing petty crimes. There's actually a story where they had a collection box for him or for his father in the local bar that his father drank at, and it was a little tin on the bar, and it said Sullivan Kids on it. And one day he goes to collect the money, and he sees a guy reach his finger into the tin and like pull some quarters out. And he's like, "These are my father's friends. That was such a betrayal. Like it really like hurt him very deeply that somebody would steal those quarters."
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as almost like, reaching into a wishing fountain, right?
Mhm.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
we've all done. I mean, where does that money even go?
I've never done that.
No.
I remember I jumped into the pool as like a 5-year-old in a mall. I jumped in just flat out to get change. My mom turned around and was like, "Are you fucking kidding
Oh
me?
my God.
Yeah, this is my moron son floating just face down in this fucking mall fountain."
That's funny. Yeah, he said he was so mad. He's like, "What?"
You're like processing it autistically right now.
I am.
That's funny.
Because I had to do everything for this fucking show, Matt, okay?
Do you want me
didn't
to
even
take
watch
over?
the goddamn documentary. You
Yeah.
don't have any notes.
I have my
Give me
notes right here on my
All right.
phone.
All right, what's next in the story?
All right. You gonna let me take over? I could totally drive this
What happened
ship
next?
a different.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I didn't watch the documentary, but I know what he did.
What do you know? What do you know about Sullivan? What do you know about Joseph Sullivan at this point in
Is
his
this
life?
podcast called An Italian Divorce? What's happening? You guys are at
wish.
the end of your marriage.
I'm not even Italian.
And that's the problem.
Problem. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. The two main things that I know about him though is he's the only guy that escaped from this Attica prison, which is like the
Jesus
most
fucking Christ.
interesting thing about him. I could cut it out
You're
if you
jumping
hate that.
ahead here. You're jumping way ahead here, Matt.
There's been movies about that prison, right?
There's also been Dog Day Afternoon, which was inspired by the events at Attica. And then
the riots,
with Pacino. And my grandfather was actually on the scene that day as a police officer. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I had a roommate who my friend always said looked like Al Pacino's lover in Dog Day Afternoon. Just like, I don't understand, Sonny. I haven't seen that movie in a while. It holds up though, right?
I've never seen it.
No?
No.
It's great.
Let's
There's a bunch
turn
of
this podcast off and watch it. We'll just do commentary on that. So when he's 18, he's robbing a guy, and he gets a little carried away. Well, actually, no. So first of all, he's in reform school for a bunch. Like he's in different, in and out. And he said that it was very like brutal in there. Like they would if you talked or something, or if you like broke the rules, they would like strip you naked and make you crawl around and make animal noises.
Jesus.
And he was like, all I could think was I wanted to kill all of them.
Jesus Christ.
And I think everybody has those thoughts when they're like young. You know, you're in high school or something. I'm sure you did. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Mike.
the thought
Mike was
of
an only child.
I had a great life.
Yeah, Feeney's mom would just pick him up and like take him for an ice cream.
yeah, he definitely
Were
had
you
the
homeschooled?
newest of everything.
No, God, no. But what was your question though? Would you ever get angry enough?
Did you ever? Yeah, were you ever? Did you ever have feelings middle school, high school where you're like, I'm gonna fucking kill everybody?
Yeah.
Mine was never everybody. It was always like particular people that had wronged me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Columbine happened when I was in 7th grade, and I was like, you can do that?
Yeah. But it's got to be nearly impossible to get a gun, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's all kinds of paperwork. All you do to get a gun is you got to wear one of those noses with the mustaches on it. You're like, hello, my name is John.
One gun,
John
please.
Berkeley. Yeah, one AR-15. These gun laws are fucked up, man.
Yeah, dismantle the,
They're so
the government,
fucking
Mike.
fucked up.
So when are we going to start recording?
I don't know. We'll use a good 3 or 4 minutes of this.
I love that. Oh, like he, I mean, not to like parallel Attica again, but like he like got his practice for escape. Like this was the first place he escaped from.
Was the school. Yeah, the school, right?
Yeah. So like he like has like 2 or 3 more times. Like he has practice escaping different things, but it's amazing.
That is a real skill,
different.
but like the way they explain how he escaped, it's like
so
he was a master escaper.
Yeah.
He found bags of flour he hid behind.
But he hid under those bags of flour for like 8 hours.
I know, it's just so
How did he
funny.
breathe?
Like
Masterful.
just have
Now you have to like hide the fact that your body produces warmth. Like there's
Right.
all these fucking cameras, all these
Yeah.
different
The
ways to catch
technology
it.
and
Yeah,
stuff,
it's
yeah.
so wild. Like this guy
Yeah.
just hid behind something.
Yeah, back then you just leave a box of donuts for like the guard, and he turns his back, and you walk out. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I guess I'll wait till we get to that part of the story. But later, when he gets like caught, is an insane thing too.
Yeah,
to me.
it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's just walking around and
It's like if I planned an escape to get out of like a maximum security prison, and I knew if I was ever caught, I was going back there forever, like whatever.
Yeah.
I would have a plan once I get out of. I would just be like, all flower face walking down the street.
I love the fact he's going to the village lantern with a sawed off on his shoulder.
Well, that's the thing. It was like, get out of the country, man. Like, get out of there. Go to Mexico, go to Canada, pick hot or cold, whatever your climate, and fucking lay low.
I know, but then it's like you start to miss the. I mean, it's like telling us not to do stand up or something,
Yeah.
or telling Matt not to watch gay porn. It's like you just start itching for it.
That is how
Dude,
I
it looks
always
so good.
That's how I always felt at the end of Goodfellas, where people are like, "He got off fucking easy," and it's like, yeah, but it also everything that made him feel alive is now completely stripped, so he might as well be in
And you
prison.
betrayed your friends. It's
Yeah.
like, what's the-
Also,
He's
how
left
do you-
with his wife, who he has a terrible relationship with.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Right.
even know his fucking kids. It's that sucks.
She's not attracted to him anymore because he's not powerful.
Yes.
It's also crazy to think that they never found him. You know what I mean? To like kill him.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that they never tracked him down. They must have done a really good job
Yeah,
with his protection.
he used to do O&A all the time, just coke to the gills.
Really?
Yeah. I remember hearing his interviews, and he's just like telling these fucking stories
Ray
over
Liotta
and over.
or Henry
No,
Hill?
Henry Hill.
Really? They
Yeah,
got
yeah.
him on the show?
Oh, yeah. He's been on a bunch of stuff being
That's
like
wild.
interviewed, and it's like, how has this guy been untouched
Yeah.
all these years? But I guess because
Maybe
like,
the other people are dead. Like all the
think
people
they
that he
are,
rat
yeah.
out are dead. It's like kind of who cares? But at the age of 18, Sullivan is committing a robbery, and some guy gets a little mouthy, and Sullivan gets a little mad, and he kills the guy with a hammer. All that rage that was building up in him.
The hammer's got to be one of the, I mean, it's satisfying, but also really traumatizing ways to kill someone just because, you know, you're feeling and hearing the crack of the skull like a soft shell crab, you know what I mean? And then just to keep hitting, it's just...
And the moment you break through...
Right, it's like, what did the guy say to him?
Crunch out.
You ever hammer like fucking leaf board too hard and you smash through?
Drywall.
That's like the same feeling when you cave in a skull. That give and your arm goes further than you thought.
Or you could throw the other side, the hook side, and just get him and then just yank down from the eyeball, you know?
Nobody thinks of that. Nobody.
Except only children.
Only children with a list.
Here's like a
Wait
fucked
a
up.
second. If I turn this hammer around.
Here's a fucked up thought that I have. Sometimes I'll be like visiting my grandparents who are like 91 and 92.
Yeah.
And I'll just like look at them, and I'll look around the house, and I'll just be like, I think I could.
Kill him?
Yeah. I'm just not that I would do it. I just wonder if I could.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I worry. There's way too much DNA evidence, and like to now, like if this was
No,
50
I wouldn't get
years
away with
ago,
it. I'm just saying, could I carry it out?
If there were
Would I-
no
Am
repercussions...
I man enough to kill my grandparents?
I've had...
the age-old question.
right.
I've had the image because my grandparents had like this weird bar. It looks like a chin-up bar, but I think it was for some sort of rehab, and it was going from their kitchen down to the living room. So there was a bar right above there, and like they'd fucking walk their rickety bodies down the steps. And in my head, I would sometimes play out what it would look like for me to hang from that bar and fucking mule kick their fucking loose bones all the way across the living room. And I was like, man, if there was a land of zero repercussions, I could easily fucking make this happen.
Nice.
And be very satisfied with the result.
Jesus.
So
They've got computers that can simulate that now. You can find out what happened.
Good.
Right. So when he's 19, he gets sentenced to 5 to 7 years at Trenton State Prison for a robbery. He said Trenton State Prison was a very tough time. There wasn't very good hospital care.
Is that Jersey?
Food wasn't very good. Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
Trenton makes, the world takes. Trenton's a shithole. You ever been?
Trenton makes the world takes. Is that there?
It's on the bridge.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Real high of themselves, huh?
But it's a real tough town. No nightlife. And the college is there too. I don't know why.
Which one? Is that Rutgers?
No, College in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Formerly Trenton State.
I went to a basketball camp there for a summer, like some invitational camp, and it was such a shithole surrounding that they had like real hardcore barriers as if we were leaving an internment camp. They wouldn't let us go outside of the whole college. It was amazing.
Wow. Yeah, it's weird. It's just I mean, it was a big manufacturing town, but there's no culture or nightlife or anything.
Right.
So then when he's a young man, he gets out. He meets Gail Wiener. She's dating his older brother. He falls in love. Gail's very intelligent. Gail says that Joseph is a gentleman. He asks the right questions. You know, she likes him too. But then at the age of 26, he goes away for manslaughter. Now, here's the murder that I think it was. It didn't make it exactly clear in the documentary, but he goes into the bar and he sees one of his the same bar with the collection cup.
Yeah.
And I think there was another tin for like polio or something.
Jesus. Hold on, my cat's
That's all right.
I think you're going to get us back into it with the clip, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so here's Sullivan talking about a murder that he did in 1965.
I see a canister at the end of the bar, but it's for like polio victims.
I'm walking around and I'm like, he sounds like a drag queen. No disrespect to his family or anything, but. And then I said, "What are you doing in this part of town?" I have so much respect for old gay men.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, because they're the ones that really went through it.
Yeah.
You ever go to that
They
bar,
were committed.
Twin Peaks in San Francisco?
No.
It's the first open window gay bar in the country, like with wraparound windows, because they used to have to put them in like alleys and shit like that. And I got to speak to like 70-year-old gay guys that basically like took beatings from cops and everybody, and they were like the grittiest motherfuckers you've ever met in your entire life.
Yeah.
You're like, good for you, buddy. This
Back
guy
then,
could
They
kick
just had
the shit out
raids.
of me.
They had raids to make sure there weren't like two men kissing. Like, all right, everybody, put your hands up. We're just checking out for queers.
Just walking around scanning each person with a black light.
Yeah.
Pull out your pockets.
Let me see those lips.
So here's where I think, the guy might be like a real psychopath. I mean, it's, you feel bad for him, but listen to what happens here.
In my mind, nothing has changed. That's for the Sullivan kids.
It's the same bar where they had the collection for his kids, but the tin was different. It was for polio or something.
I go to the small end of the bar. I'm sitting there, and in my mind, I'm going to kill somebody, and I know what I feel it.
A man at the bar recognized Joe as one of the Sullivan boys.
And all I could think of was like, you're one of them. My father's so-called friends. Crazy. I just pulled the gun out and shot him in the head. And he never even fell off the stool. He was dead instantly.
He probably took the polio money too.
I bet he did. I guarantee he did.
Yeah. That's the thing. A lot of these guys, they claim to have like, some sort of code,
Right.
and then they totally break everything.
Right.
That they,
I mean, shooting somebody in the middle of public like that, like Frank Lucas in American Gangster, that type of shit,
Yeah.
like that is some fucking recklessness that we will never, ever see again.
Nope.
It can't possibly, like outside of, the Middle East. that shit probably doesn't happen anywhere.
Right.
Do you want to get into it, like how he betrayed the Irish people at this point? This seems like
I would like to discuss that.
Well, I don't know if he betrayed the Irish people. He just killed some Irish people. I mean,
That's a betrayal.
The ultimate betrayal.
What do Irish gangsters spend their money on, though? I mean, at least for us, it's like, boats, clothes, hair gel.
chains.
Your wife
golden
gets
chains.
your wife gets to go to the salon and spend, $1,200 on her nails. This is like, they're like, oh, I think I'll just wear this hoodie and this.
They buy
some
bars.
more
That's pretty
Adidas.
much right. That's pretty much they just hang around there.
I think so, yeah. I would assume they kind of keep it socked away because we're so paranoid about somebody taking everything from us again.
Right. When did that happen? England?
In England, like when they enslaved the Irish and forced them to build like, all the ships and all that shit. Like there's a lot of weird repressed Irish shit that kind of filters through genetically that makes you odd with money, sex, like all that stuff.
Right.
So this guy probably has a bit of that. His fucking parents were weirdos. You know?
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
So he goes to Attica in 1965. I think it was maybe for that murder. They said there was a murder for a bar fight. I'm not exactly sure. But he goes to Attica, and he's the only guy to ever escape from Attica, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about this guy.
Yeah. Is he who The Rock was based on? Like, I mean, I know it's not
Alcatraz.
It's not Alcatraz, but it's still like nobody's ever escaped.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Great
he hid
movie,
under-
though.
He hid under bags. He stole a guard's uniform, and then he hid under bags of flour, and then he waited for a delivery truck, I think, and he took a ladder and scaled the wall. And
So worst case, it was just a flowery security guard under there.
Yeah.
That's what they were like. Well, if they catch me, they'll at least be like, "Oh, it's Jim."
He drew a mustache on himself and used a mop as a wig, and walked right out of there.
They kept getting so close, but then that Benny Hill music came on. They just couldn't seem to.
Yeah.
Every door they went into was the wrong one.
All I have here is that he scaled the wall. I mean, do you know how he escaped, Matt?
I mean, it sounded like he went out on a truck. Like I don't know why Flower
Yeah,
would
thanks,
leave a
Matt.
prison, but
Anyway,
But then there was a conflicting report that said he scaled the wall in a ski mask, but that doesn't sound reasonable
Yeah, where
because
we
that
get a
just
ski mask?
sounds and also that just sounds like the most obvious way to escape a prison is
Right.
running to the wall and jumping over it.
right.
it just sounds like every time he escaped something, he just hid behind a door, and then he's like, he's not in here. and they just follows them out.
I'm sure we could have confirmed this, but I'm sure we could have. Deborah did like 20 pages of research too. Anyway, so
Does that get her off the hook for losing the keys?
yeah. Well, not really. No,
Oh no.
all my shit's
Because if she put the
disappeared
keys on the
my-
hook, this would have never happened. That was
Right. Well, in Attica's where he got his nickname, the Mad Dog, which came from a salivary disorder. He used to spit a lot.
So he was one of those
Clearly.
guys who'd be like, "Hey," like that.
Yeah, probably. What?
It's
What?
like talking to a robot that beats his wife.
Fine. Anyway, so anyway, gang.
This is my favorite podcast that I've ever done in my entire life.
I swear to God, guys, he's not normally like this.
I love this. I'm having a great
No,
time.
because this is Matt's fault because he was like, "Let's do 2 episodes tomorrow." And it's like, well, there's a lot of work that goes into this, and
Literally,
you
we
guys
come
didn't
up
have
with
time
it
to
the
watch
day
the
beforehand.
documentary.
I don't know. Like we just print it out and make fun of our underpreparedness. I don't know what's different about that. right
Originally,
now.
we were doing stuff like a week in advance, but that's okay.
How many episodes
Sorry.
are you
now
in?
we're now
You
we're
know Mike's mad
now
because
we're
he's
just
not making
pissing.
any eye contact with him. He just keeps looking. He's talking to him through the computer screen.
well now we're just pissing on the memory of a great man.
Fuck him. He killed other Irish folk. He
Yeah.
turned on the
This
fucking
guy
Irish.
worked for the Wops and killed his own.
Yeah.
He's a piece of shit.
Sure, but
How would you feel if it was the reverse?
let me get into that in a second because let me tell you what his options are after he gets out of prison. So he escapes from Attica. Now he gets arrested. He's carrying a sawed-off shotgun on the street, and they find him. They arrest him. They bring him back to Attica. He finishes out his sentence. Actually, he gets paroled in 1975, and that's when he looks up Gail Weiner, and she had married someone else, but she was divorced, and the two started dating. So he was really good at like compartmentalizing his life once he started getting into crime. Now, shortly after he starts dating Gail, he gets a job as a city clerk. He hates it, so he comes in contact with a man named John Sullivan, no relation, who's sort of his point man in the Genovese family, headed by Fat Tony Salerno. Although we know who was the real head of the Genovese family, it was Chin Gigante, who would walk around the street in a bathrobe and pretend he was retarded.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
He's the best.
Because that was like his cover?
That was like his cover, yeah. So Fat
Just
Tony
like
Salerno.
Edward Norton in that movie
Yeah.
with Robert De Niro that I can't think of the
Yeah,
name
he
of.
acts retarded.
Crown, or whatever it's called.
That's
The Score.
hilarious.
The score.
The Score.
That's how Larry
That's
David
what-
used to get at the front of the line to get Yankee tickets.
Really?
He would act retarded.
No.
Yes.
That's crazy.
I think if our listeners can want to learn anything, it's acting retarded will get you
Yeah.
a lot.
A
Good
tremendous
job in
amount.
life. Which that was weird though, the Edward Norton thing in that movie, because it's just somebody's like, oh, he's just a retarded guy who's walking around this top secret
yeah.
area. Yeah.
They
Yeah, well,
tried-
that's also had Marlon Brando at the very end of his
That was
life.
his last
where
movie,
he
I
just,
think.
yeah, he was just like this massive
Sad.
blob of a
Yeah,
human, where it was
Yeah.
like my 600-pound life was happening to him.
Yeah.
Well, right after, speaking of Marlon Brando, at that time they were feeding him lines through like an ear fob. So each and every line, and they've been doing that with Jack Nicholson since The
no.
Departed. Like in
Oh,
that
really?
entire movie, he was being fed lines through his ear, and he was just delivering them with like a second or two delay. Isn't
That's
that crazy?
Insane.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, now he's progressed into more dementia.
bad dementia, man.
Jack
Feeney-
Nicholson?
Yeah, Feeney told me that yesterday. He's like,
Who
I feel
cares?
terrible. And I'm like, yeah, that's what doing fucking pounds of coke off of the hottest girls in
Yeah,
Hollywood's
yeah.
tits for 30 years will do to you. And then I'm watching the All-Star game last night, and they shoot right to Jack Nicholson, and he looks like he's like, where am I? Who am I? What the fuck am I?
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
It's just this structureless blob in the front
The
row.
director's like, cut away, cut away, cut away, cut away. Oh no.
That's a guy, if I could have anybody's life,
Yeah.
I think it would be him.
He's like him, Paul McCartney. There's a select few, obviously, probably around 10, that have the top 10 greatest lives ever, and he's one of them.
Yeah.
That's an incredible life that was bequeathed upon him by whoever.
Yeah.
What if he won Best Actor again with
Oh,
the
that'd
FAB?
be so fun. I mean, honestly, was he Was he nominated for The Departed? Because that's, speaking of the
Jack
Irish
Nicholson.
mob.
I don't think he was actually.
Yeah.
Not for the Oscar, but for the Golden Globe he was. Wahlberg was nominated for the Oscar.
That's right. Yeah, that's such
Another great man.
Would have stopped 9/11.
Yeah, I know. We were talking to our friend on another episode, and we were like, how would you stop 9/11 if we had to? He's like, I would call Mark Wahlberg.
Immediately get in touch with UTA.
So here's an interesting thing about Sullivan. He is he's a late bloomer.
Oh.
Yeah, he starts working for the Genovese family at the age of 36.
Wow.
And he sort of becomes their guy who does all their dirty work. So that's pretty cool. So basically what happened was Chin Gigantes walked around naked, pissing on the street. And actually, when indictments were handed down, Gigante didn't get arrested. It was Fat Tony Salerno.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. There's a great clip of Tony Salerno where they're like, Tony, anything to say? And he's got a cigar in his mouth. He's like, yeah, go fuck yourself. So he's an interesting guy who pops up a lot. But
Isn't it amazing back then? Like, this guy was known as like a mob henchman, like, you know, a real fucker of the Genovese family, but they basically had to catch you in the act of murder to catch you. Like, there was just no pinning a crime on anybody, so they're just like, yeah, this guy just kills people, but unless we see it happen, we can't fucking put him away.
Yeah. It was kind of like before RICO too, like people, nobody would rat and you couldn't get the bosses for it, so they would just find new guys to, do murders.
And we don't have the surveillance state now. Like, you could actually go disappear in a different state while heat,
Yeah, no credit cards, no
you could
tolls.
do that?
Yeah, I mean, now it's like fucking any
They're
credit
like,
card.
I wonder where he is. The Bronx, Queens. I have no idea. He lives in Brooklyn, but we found him hiding out in Kew Gardens. Yeah, you didn't even have to go that far. So here's what happened. So in the 70s, he starts working with the Genovese family, and the Genovese family wants control of Hell's Kitchen. They want the construction contracts with the Javits Center, and they want the Irish mob out, basically. So there were also two factions of the Irish mob at that point. It was Mickey Spillane's organization. I think Mickey Spillane was sort of like an old school, more of an old school Irish gangster, and then the Westies were coming up at that point.
Oh, wow.
Well. Are you guys familiar with them?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Westie's no joke.
Yeah, I think those guys would. I think when those guys took over, they cut off somebody's head and they would take it.
The Westies?
Yeah.
Weren't they also in other cities as well? Like, is that
so.
the Boston gang?
Yeah.
As well, or is that's a different?
I believe so. And they were aligned with the Gambino family.
Mm-hmm.
But so I found this out today. Mickey Spillane was sort of like the boss of Hell's Kitchen. So when Jimmy Coonan, who was the leader of the Westies, was a kid, Mickey Spillane kidnapped his father and pistol whipped him as ransom, and that's kind of what he did. So Coonan had an intense hatred for Spillane and was hell bent on
revenge.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why you got to make your living. What?
Could you imagine them seeing who the boss of Hell's Kitchen is in 2018? Just the richest queen in 53rd and 8th.
Yeah, it's Titus from Kimmy Schmidt. I'm the boss of Hell's Kitchen now. Yep, that's the thing though. Times change. It's also
him
funny.
Or Guy Fieri.
What's that?
Guy Fieri is also hot down.
Does he
I'll
live
cut
there?
this out. Never mind.
Does he live there?
Yeah.
Have some self-esteem.
Jesus Christ.
It is funny that when you hear people be like, "Oh yeah, things were different in the '80s before all the pussies took over," and it's like, yeah, but things are actually better now. There's not people getting murdered in the street.
Thank God for the pussies.
Yeah.
Because now there's far less heroin.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, what happens is Tony Salerno wants someone to take out the guys in the Irish gang. So Coonan kills Sullivan kills about 33 guys that worked for Mickey Spillane. Just goes in and does the dirty work. Yeah, you guys aren't happy about that, huh?
No. There's no way to be.
Here's the thing. It says a lot about Irish ingenuity and willingness to succeed because he did, that's a capitalist right there. He took the best offer and just killed off whoever he would get
also,
the better
his point
position
man in
and
the
money
Genovese
for.
family was Irish as well.
Yeah. So
So-
we were infiltrating the Italians. Maybe we were trying to get a better stake in their claim.
Could be.
Yeah.
It's bullshit though. Like the Italians never let Irish people get made. You know.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Because
that
Italians are fucking just. I feel like Italians haven't gone through much hardship, and yet they really wear this fucking bravado on their sleeve, like they survived something. It's like you ruled the world for like 7,000 years, and then just were like, all right, we'll just make sauce for a while. It's like what have you had to endure? You
Well,
know,
it's a hard fall, but
from the Roman Empire to
Now it makes a little bit of sense.
we'll be back. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's a good point. It's not like we were slaves or anything, or
yeah. If anything, you had the slaves. You killed Jesus. Everything. I mean, it was just all the whole. You were on top.
well, our ancestors got raped by Moors. That was tough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's tough for them to get through all the hair in your assholes.
right. So that's like, so you kind of feel bad for Mickey Spillane because he's like he had a bunch of associates, a bunch of his muscle. They were all killed by Sullivan, one by one, doing all the damn.
Did they say
dirty
how he
work.
did it? So this was not in one shot. This wasn't like a 30-person massacre. This was him kind of methodically moving throughout this family.
Yeah, and he said he liked like the chase, he liked the pursuit.
Of
He
course he
got
did.
a rush from it. But he also said that he wasn't paid very well for these murders, and he was like, "Yeah, I would get maybe $300 or $400 per hit." Which I mean, this is the '80s, so that's probably like I don't know, $800.
Yeah, but that's
It's
not
not-
enough.
Yeah.
That's certainly not enough to just especially put your freedom on the line.
Yeah.
That sucks. He probably should have seen a counteroffer.
Or negotiated.
Yeah.
Ask for a raise.
Right? What does the Joker say? If you're good at something, never do it for free. What the fuck?
Yeah. Do Irish people negotiate though?
No, not very well.
Thank you for the sack of potatoes.
No, see, I was gonna say, I feel like they do negotiate a lot.
I don't know. I mean, my dad is a good negotiator, I suppose, but
Yeah.
most of the other Irish people, I feel like are kind of docile and not
Yeah.
confrontational for the until it becomes very.
Is it sort of like a thing
confrontational.
of? Is it like a thing of dishonor where it's like you don't like to complain, and maybe that's how
I
you're
think we
allowed
have
to-
very little honor.
I
think,
disagree with that. Disagree on every single front. We have maybe not the most honor, but we have a
pride
tremendous.
is different from honor, though.
Yeah,
Pride,
but
we have
but pride based on a moral code is honor.
Yeah.
That's exactly
But
what
what's
that
the
is.
moral
It
code?
seems like there's something about Irish culture where it's like you just take it quietly, you don't complain, you just
Oh, there's
deal with what you-
suppression for sure.
Yeah, I
but
mean-
so is that with Italians. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
They're either
They're
emotional.
constantly gugatzing about what just happened.
Yeah,
to
but
them.
it's about something else. You know what I mean? It's always about a larger thing they don't want to identify. It's like Italian people aren't big into going to therapy. You know what I mean?
No, God forbid.
Yeah.
Hey,
Neither are the Irish, though.
you seeing that broad again? Talking about your feelings.
People in my family legitimately don't believe in therapy. Like they don't believe.
Does it not work? I heard it doesn't work on.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Freud quote, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Oh, okay.
I went to
What's the Freud quote?
That the
Psycho-
Irish are the only people that are impervious to psychoanalyzation.
Yep.
And it's it's funny and probably true for the most part, but I think we're reaching a tipping point where the culture is at least opening up a bit.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. There's the war with Mickey Spillane. Mickey Spillane gets killed. Or no, yeah, Mickey Spillane, and they think the person who did it was Roy DeMeo from the Gambino family. But now, basically, the Westies are in charge of Hell's Kitchen. So, here's an interesting turning point in the story. They want to take now. Fat Tony wants to take out the Westies. So, well, you guys aren't going to like this, but So Joseph Coonan was the leader of the Westies, and Sullivan is pursuing Coonan, but he can't find him. He even didn't want to kill Coonan because he liked him, but he was like, "Yeah, this is business." So he got to his he found his right hand man, Mickey Featherstone, and basically
Love
what he
the
said
name.
was like, "Yeah, he was like, listen, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to yes and you."
No, stop it short again.
So he's like, listen, these guineas are making us all kill each other. Why don't we get together? And he actually confessed to murdering Mickey Spillane's guys. So, and that actually infuriated John Sullivan, who was like, "What are you doing? You're an idiot. You're supposed to be our guy who can lay low, and we can just like." So, he was real mad about that, and he had to get on the land. He had to hide for 2 years.
Right.
So, yeah, he was. They said he was a pretty smart guy, though. That's why Gail liked him.
Well, it seems like he's kind of reading the situation in terms of
Did you
power
watch that doc?
vacuums. I watched a little bit of it, but I mostly read through the list. But it seems like he's pretty intuitive in terms of like what happens when he takes out, say, Mickey Spillane, and then how the Westies, move over, and immediately those guys are there, and of course Fat Tony is then gonna, who's apparently working with them initially, but then he doesn't want their cut, of course, and since there's only now one squad in his way, he's of course going to try to fucking wipe them out.
He's like, you kill every Irish guy in Hell's Kitchen.
It's so funny because it's almost like exactly what's happening in the Middle East. Like it's all these different insurgent groups coming in, and then you arm another group to take them out, and then of course that group becomes the fuckers that, it's wild. Wild scene.
Yeah. I didn't start my timer again.
Now I got it.
Where are we? This episode's a fucking disaster.
You're out of control right now. I would say we're at 45 minutes.
All right.
Out of control right now. You need to put away you need to like figure out the last part and put away your computer. I don't feel
you don't edit this,
he doesn't
right?
know.
No,
he doesn't have any
Oh,
notes.
please
chop
don't.
the shit out
Don't
of it.
chop this show up. This should go out warts and all.
This should be a deleted scene.
This is a top 3 podcast if it goes out as is.
You think so?
Yes. The frustration in Mike's voice, be it warranted or unwarranted.
Because this is like fucking Papa Beaver's story time. I'm just giving you guys the information because Matt was like, we got to do 2 episodes tomorrow. And we had literally no fucking time to prepare any of this, and now we're pissing on a great man.
Who the fuck is Papa Beaver?
Remember that Nick Jr. show? The Nick Jr. show.
No, that was just Angry Beavers.
Let me Google it. Papa Beaver's.
Let the producer Google it. He's produced.
No, he doesn't know anything. Here, Papa Beaver's.
Literally, anytime he gets mad or anytime he has an outburst, it stays in. It's just like the middle of the story where it's all names.
No, he keeps everything in. Even the stuff I tell him to take out, he keeps in. I made
great.
a fucking rape joke that I thought he was going to take out, and that's in there.
All of this needs to stay in because it's your character. It's who you are as a person, and it's very like off-putting but likable at the same time.
Oh,
So
God.
Papa Beaver's Storytime was a show that ran on Nickelodeon.
No way.
It
Can I
was
see
a
a
French
picture of
and
it?
Canadian animated television series based on a series of children's storybooks by the French author
There you
That's
go.
such a
Paul Cher. It was like
crazy
93,
reference to
94.
Check out the Instagram, folks. We'll link you to
what
it.
a reference. Oh.
What was your? Did you guys have a favorite Nick Jr. show?
I didn't watch it until I was older.
Nickelodeon. I
Until
mean,
you were older?
Yeah, I didn't have cable.
You're like
Because my
16.
my younger sister, we had cable for her as a child, but not for me.
Does Nick Jr. also
Oh, that always happens.
have the pedophile shows on it?
The pedophile shows.
Yeah,
every
Dan
show. On,
Schneider.
every show on Nick Jr. is a pedophile show.
Oh yeah, that
You don't get
director
into
or
children's
whatever.
television unless you got a hard on for little kids.
The only one that escaped was Steve from Blue's Clues, but he still had that hoax that he apparently died of heroin.
yeah,
my
that family
God.
from
Oh, yeah.
Gullah Gullah Island murdered each other.
No, they didn't. Wait, no, they didn't. Really?
It was Binya
Now-
Binya that was doing the leapfrog. Oh, man.
The dad put a Binya head on it and hacked his fucking family to
He
death.
just
He's
fucking
like,
stands.
this is bullshit. My career is over. Bring back Gullah Gullah Island. Anyway, so
Let's say you have 10 minutes left to tell the story. What do you tell next?
well, John Sullivan's very mad because he's like, what the
God.
fuck's the matter with you? But and so Coonan was sort of hurt by that because he felt like the people sort of abandoned him. So he starts drinking and he starts doing drugs. He starts doing cocaine. He starts doing Valium to sleep, and then he
So he is Irish.
he gets it. Yeah. And then he gets another. Now he's married at this point. He's married to Gail, but he gets a mistress.
Yeah.
Nice 23-year-old
Good for him.
girl named Antonia or something. Yeah.
See, that I didn't know whether or not that was a part of the Irish mob experience because that's always a fun thing with the Italians, the gumas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you guys are
Do you guys
hot.
do that?
That's what I was wondering, and apparently so. But you, like, I knew you guys did because you're a bunch of fucking hot-blooded
Animals.
gorillas that want to just, unload their person onto somebody else. But Irish people
if you
are
had
far
the money,
more docile.
if you had the money to have a mistress and put her up in an apartment, I think you would do it.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I could spend my money on such better shit.
Yeah.
The effort the effort to keep that hidden, to keep that like
the
to
Irish
fuck
guilt.
What would you-
the
what would
Irish,
you
guilt,
do?
the
Yeah.
Irish
Guilt.
guilt
Catholic
is
Irish
Irish
guilt.
guilt. You can't discount as a major factor.
Yeah, but something
Right.
tells me that this guy who started murdering people with a hammer at
no,
18
he asked what we would do.
Yeah.
You know, what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
not saying he felt
Yeah.
guilt. I'm saying like,
Yeah.
And we have
You know,
the benefit of
normal
seeing all
humans.
these stories over and over again to be like, nobody ever gets away with it.
Yes.
You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
Even after you die, they meet, and then he's like, oh, this guy was an asshole.
Right. Feeney, what would you do if you got like a big paycheck? Like I don't know,
What do
couple
you-
grand,
Like
few
what,
grand.
what would I do with money?
Yeah, what's the thing? What would you go out and?
Instead of, so your thing would be to have a mistress and put her up in an apartment or something, like be able to have paying.
No, my thing is I go to Whole Foods and buy a bunch of
Yeah, come on.
bunch of
Just
stuff. I was
find
thinking about
all
that
the
yesterday.
full grocery
Yeah,
shop.
yeah, yeah.
Buy Deb a sleep number bed.
I'll buy you a key
Anyway,
finder.
folks. Yeah. What would you do though if you got a nice paycheck?
I would like to. I mean, use it either. I would like to say to use it for travel, but I'd probably just use it on something stupid like sneakers or something.
Yeah.
It's a very those it adds up.
Oh, yeah.
I would save it
Yeah, sure you would.
because I've made a fair amount of money that I thought was gonna last forever in this goddamn business, and then 6 years later
Doing
I have
what?
zero of it.
Yeah.
That fucking Cosmo web series and like those MTV shows that I did years ago,
Oh.
that was all in like a 7th-month period, and I was like, I'm gonna make this money.
And you were like, I'm gonna
forever.
retire.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna make this money for. I was 3 years or 4 years into comedy. I was a fucking moron.
Really?
So I immediately was like, boom, I'm on this trajectory. Perfect. I'm gonna start touring off this. And of course, everything I did got canceled.
Yeah.
Nobody farther along like stopped you
No,
and
he's-
like, hey, you need to think about.
Well, I wasn't outwardly saying that.
Oh,
This
right,
was
right, right.
all.
No, you're like, this is my
internal
job now. My
celebration.
life
Yeah.
just changed.
Yeah,
and
of course.
yeah, if your show gets canceled, they give you another one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what are you gonna do? Yeah, Whole Foods. I'd buy some bulk nuts. I'd buy some apricots. I'd buy some of that meat. Put it in the freezer. I'm all about braising now. That's my new thing.
Okay.
Cooking. Yeah.
Luke's Lobster would be my first stop.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna blow my fucking money on lobster rolls, weed, and sneakers, just like a 12-year-old wishes he could.
Yeah, I'd definitely buy a ton of weed. Save half of it. You know, if you put down half, you can feel good about blowing it on whatever.
Sure. So actually, we're gonna do. So we've talked about this before, but the Philly mob is very interesting. That whole saga, because originally in Philly there was this old school boss named Angelo Bruno. He was known as the Docile Don. He was very into. He wasn't violent. He sort of saw his role as boss as a protector of this like organization, and he was murdered in his car with a shotgun.
Shit.
Yeah. So I didn't know this. The guy who did it was a guy named Antonio Caponegro.
Come on.
That sounds like
Nailed
you
it.
made it up for fun.
I know, but
Nailed it.
Antonio-
He looks over. Yes, and
He puts on a Letterman's jacket. The name is Capo Negro.
There we go. Now we can start having fun. Antonio Caponegro, known as Tony Bananas.
Oh no!
So basically, what happened was,
It sounds worse in
Yeah.
retrospect now.
you know, with the mafia, there's a commission, right? There's the group of bosses that has to everything has to be approved by the commission. They sanction all the murders, and the New York family worked very closely. All the New York families worked very closely with Angelo Bruno, so they didn't like that. He was sort of usurped like that. So Fat Tony wanted Tony Bananas killed. So John Sullivan calls Joseph Sullivan, and he goes, "Hey Joe, we got a big banana to peel," which is kind of a cool.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
that's like movie code. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it almost sounds like a too cheesy to write line, but it's funny these idiots talked like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It'd be funny, like the FBI, like hears that wiretap, and they're like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
They go to kill an Asian guy. Like, we got to go put that soy sauce on rice.
We gotta squash the banana. So what happens is they bring Tony Bananas into a meeting, and he comes in, and Joseph Sullivan is waiting there with his gun, which was silenced. And he said that the way Tony Bananas died was a very he really went out like a tough guy. He came right at him like a rabbit. I think he said a rabbit. Oh wait, you don't know. like a rabid rhino. And he's like, he just charged at him, and he just kept shooting him, and finally he falls on the wall and he slides down, and he's dead.
That's badass.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. Like you kill somebody, but you're like, oh, I respect the way that he went down.
Yeah,
you know?
I can't see myself going out like a man if ever faced with a gun. Like
Yeah.
I'd like to put myself in that position where I'm like, I'm ready to die.
Yeah.
But no, I can't. I would piss my pants.
Yeah, you'd shit yourself.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, look, they would like tell your wife, just so you know, your husband pooped his pants before we shot him.
Like Mikey Lemon Pants. That's what we called him.
Kind of like Pesci in Goodfellas. We talked about it earlier. He's like, "Oh fuck!" And
Yeah, immediately goes
Yeah.
down from behind.
Yeah, I think if you know they're gonna kill you, I think I would try to get something out right before they shot me.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
one last bit.
my man got a little shirt or something like that. I don't know. I would like roast him.
They got we could tease forever.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's Vinny Little Shirt over here. So here's my favorite part of the story. So after they kill Tony Bananas, the cleanup crew comes in. So I guess there was like a hit guy and then a cleanup crew. So I guess you start off as cleanup crew. Then you get promoted to $300 a hit. Hitman. So they come in and there's $23,000 in Tony Bananas' pockets. So what they do is they strip him naked and they shove the money into every orifice on his body.
Wow.
Basically to send a message saying that he was greedy.
Wow.
Wow, I like to do a little 7 action. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to say that we don't even give a fuck about money. This was about more than that.
Yeah.
Which is like, of course they do, but
Yeah,
it is, like it is kind of like, oh, they did have some principles.
That's
and,
pretty badass.
Yeah, they didn't want Angela Bruno.
I like the
killed
idea
in
of
that
a
way.
stack of 10 grand just coming right out of your asshole.
I like the idea of a producer being like, "Well, you have a $5,000 advertising budget."
What do you
They
mean?
use like $4,500 to shove it in his ass and his mouth, and
We're gonna do a special for our Patreon. We're gonna do a MythBusters episode. How much money can we fit up Matt's ass?
it better be a lot
Yeah. Can you fit $23,000 up Matt's ass?
in quarters.
Yeah, please donate to our GoFundMe so we can get the $23,000,
Yeah.
and then
You can't go to a bank with that kind of
That's true.
business plan.
no, you can't. Yeah, so money right up his fucking ass. Anyway, so
We're getting close to being able to wrap up.
good.
Do you want to just end on his how he got caught, his last murder, or
Yeah, Matt, how did he get caught?
If this is edited in
I
any
think
way, I'm
I-
going to be so pissed off. This is.
I have to leave it in.
You have to leave
I
it
have
in.
to leave it in.
The amount of times that I've also seen physical pain come across Mike's face
Oh
throughout
my God.
this recording has been
Yeah.
minimum 10.
I don't think it's about me. I think it's about Deb and the keys.
I think it's about a lot of things.
No, this is your fault. We didn't have time to put this outline together.
What do you mean fault? Is it bad?
You didn't even watch the doc.
Mike's still talking to him through the computer screen.
Matt, who's Tom the Greek Kapados?
Literally, you have like 50 names. It's not even about the names. It's like what he did, you know?
The Greek from The Wire.
Well, anyway. All right, here's what happened. This fucking Mick murdered a bunch of more people.
Thank you.
He killed a lot more people. He did some hits. He was going to rob a pharmacy in Long Island, but he got set up, and then he turned on the drug dealers who he was going to do the robbery with. And the guy, one of his associates, so after they shot the people that set them up, he was like, "You're the butcher, so make sure they're dead." And the guy slits all their throats, and one of them survives.
Oh,
and they,
shit.
And they ID their attackers. So now he's on the run. He starts working for some other associates in the family, and outside a restaurant in Rochester, he kills was that Fiorino? Anyway, he's a captain of some family.
Crazy.
The fuck were they doing in Rochester?
I don't
Dinosaur
know. They probably
barbecue.
had some
Just eating a garbage plate hungover.
Yeah.
and then then he gets picked up. They think he got set up. They think the guy he was working for set him up and told the feds he was going to be there. So they pick him up. It's 1981, and he gets sent to jail for a bunch of murders that we don't know the details of. Which I told you this before the fucking show, and
Did he ever start making money for his skill, or was he always just a blue collar shit kicker?
He was
murderer?
pretty much, yeah.
What a
He pretty much
moron.
just did the dirty work for the Genovese family.
He's like a badass motherfucker, but he's also just a fucking dummy.
So
Yeah.
I actually know how he got caught.
All right.
So how about I end the show with the story, and you guys could riff and just close your laptop, right?
Wow.
Well, I might have some more stuff on here.
Unless you want to add anything in. Because here's basically
And you guys can riff.
you guys can riff.
Oh, good.
But okay, so like he kills this guy John Farino, right? And then fleeing the scene, their car got stuck in a snowbank. So this is what's like super funny about it. It's like his partner got caught, right?
Yeah.
But he decides to hide in the snowbank for 8 hours. Classic fucking Mad Dog, right? And then they find him like 8 hours later.
He thought it
Is
was
he
bags of
frostbitten?
flour.
He made it. I mean,
Surviving in snow
Wait, they
for
found
8
him in the
hours?
snow? I thought
Yeah.
they pulled him out of the hotel.
no, there's everything about this guy is conflicting. That's what's so crazy about him. Like they said, the way he got the name Mad Dog was he shot back at the police, and they're like, "Oh, you're a real
Mad Dog."
Yeah. So like literally everything about this guy is like unconfirmed.
Basically, any story that makes him sound cool, I feel like he said.
Yeah.
And then the other shit is probably closer
No,
to
I wasn't
Maybe,
drooling.
but-
I wasn't drooling.
I didn't have a lisping problem. I'm mad dog because I shouted at the cops.
Didn't they catch you in a hotel? No, I was in a snowbank.
Yeah. But he does seem like a pretty authentic guy in the interviews.
Yeah,
and
he's a
shit
kook.
Like that.
He
yeah.
definitely is a
Murderer.
rough-handed maniac.
Right. Good father, though.
Yeah.
That is kind of like the cliche thing about all these guys, though.
Bad dads.
No, good dads.
Good dads.
He's like, I'm a family man, but also I kill people.
Yeah.
Well, because isn't that how in Sopranos they said the sociopath, their only love comes out through babies and animals. So if they share a lot of empathy and towards animals and babies and only them, then they're like real far gone down the line.
Oh
of
my
being
God.
a sociopath.
That makes so much sense because
Yeah.
of the ducks.
Yep.
Tony and the Ducks.
Yep. And the horse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He whacked Ralph over a fucking horse.
But
That's
yeah,
a great clip.
this-
Yeah.
these guys
Ralph's
been
like, it was a fucking animal. So I don't know. You guys think sociopaths and psychopaths? You think they're born or they're made or?
I
what?
think. Yeah. I think on some level it's probably born, but also nurtured.
Yeah.
Like I
think made more so than. I mean, you definitely got to have some sort of chemical fucking cross track fuck up.
Yeah. I
but-
probably have the genealogical recipe inside of me, but maybe I wasn't molested into it.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's like an
Right.
on-off switch.
You're just
Yeah.
you're just one finger up your ass.
Yeah.
I'm an
Killing people.
unbaked cake.
Instead,
of
it just made it just made a comedian. Yeah.
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 yeah, a
If
docile.
Mike got fingered, he'd have like a nice apartment right now, killing people. Yeah.
Much more of a shorter shelf life, but
There's no crime anymore today, though. Really.
you don't think so? Because
Also,
I
it's
beg
like-
to differ. 5 guys ran into the vacant building across my street after shooting somebody down the street like 4 days ago.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the helicopter right across the street, spotlight. They ended up catching him. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, there's no white crime anymore.
There's like 7 Enron documentaries on Netflix as
Yeah.
we speak.
Wow, that's different.
like the organized
There's no
crime
cool
of today.
crime anymore.
I know
Yeah.
that's true. There's no blue collar cool crime anymore where
Yeah.
it's like real head breaker shit.
Yeah.
All of it is digital, rape. It's
Yeah.
all fucking financial bullshit. They're ruining lives, but in such a psychological and manipulative way without any of the fun violence.
Yeah, because I'll tell you this: a lot of these guys, like, I just don't feel bad for. They're just like you sort of make fun of them, but I don't know Sullivan, and maybe it's because they were interviews with him,
Right.
but it just sort of feels like,
It's the same way you feel bad for Tanya Harding after watching I, Tanya or one of those documentaries. You're like, yeah, was she a terrible person that probably orchestrated and/or was involved in some heinous shit? Yes, but did she get the shit kicked out of her as a kid constantly and berated by her mom until she felt like she was nothing?
and
Yes.
ostracized from the skating community.
Exactly,
right?
because she wasn't rich and all that stuff. So there are
Parallels.
there's-
Yeah.
It's
What's so
nuanced.
funny is my grandmother is so convinced that Tanya Harding skated up to Nancy Kerrigan on the ice and bashed her knee in. She's like, no, she skated up to her. And you're like, well, if that's your reality, I kind of don't want to take that away from you.
Yeah,
That's like a great story. The same thing with Trump. It's like she loves Trump, but if your reality is that like there's a bunch of, Washington weenies who waste all your money, and then this tough guy comes in who knows how to talk tough and sends them all scared, it's like, why would I argue with you?
I've taken arguing with old people. I don't believe that whole, leave well enough alone. I'm now stirring up old people's lives and just making them really regret the final stretch of their lives.
Yeah.
Okay. Why not? Why not? Why make something comfortable for
Right.
people? You have to constantly change, right? Progress.
Yeah.
If not progress, at least kind of shake things up a bit. Otherwise, you're just waiting to die. Fuck
Right.
that.
I'll tell you what I feel like about this guy. I feel like he was definitely deprived of a lot of stuff in life. He didn't have a father. He didn't have, guidance. He didn't have family. And it's like he really did miss out on a lot of stuff. And he even said,
Yeah, he misses his grandkids. He's like, the hardest part is missing out on their lives.
I wish I could watch
Only
my.
identifies with little kids.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
I wish I could see my grandson's first ballet recital. I wish I could watch him ice dance.
I would have sewed his outfit myself.
Yeah. No, he said it was about my losses and I was going to make everybody pay for it.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
for you, Joey.
Do you think our grandkids are going to be mean to us about like how we treated robots or, artificial intelligence? Like it was real all along.
I don't know. Yeah, that's going to be a weird
cool to
thing.
be shitty to Alexa.
I want to get that new Google one. I just saw the ad for that.
Google
that one
Home?
looks cool. Yeah, that one looks cool.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you this. I had both, and I tried to do a bit about this on stage last night. The Google Home has a lot more like personality. Like Google Home could probably like break up a family because she's like so flirty. Like you'll come home and like your husband will be like, like jacking off with like a robot, but the Google Home is like taped to her head. Like and then like Alexa is very like by the book. Like
Right.
if she worked for your company, she'd be like a single mother who like doesn't dress sexy and just like ignores all your advances. But Google Home will destroy a man's life.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah.
but I like the Google Home better
Okay.
personally.
I feel like I might do that.
Look, folks, we have options on what devices we want in our house to be listening to
Yeah.
us all the time.
Our
And sell, like, our
robot
information
slaves
to
we can
Mark
pick.
Zuckerberg. Yeah.
Fun and flirty or Asian?
I took a flywheel class last night.
What?
Yeah, it's like my new thing. I go to like
What's
ladies.
that?
It's like Soul Cycle.
Oh.
It's fun. It's
Yeah.
good workout.
Is that like
45
rowing?
minutes, you're in and out. It's like cycling.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay.
But the instructor was this like young, like cute Asian girl, and she was the toughest instructor I've ever had.
I bet.
Yeah.
Her feet just got unbound for the first time. Jeez, they fit perfectly over
Very
the
studious
pedals.
people.
They wear the pedals.
Did she get to control the music in that class, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think so. And then people like request it and shit like that. Another thing Joseph
Fancy.
Sullivan said was, whatever you do in life, you pick up the tab. So, at least he's not blaming anybody else. You do see that
Yeah.
with a lot of these guys. They're like, yeah, I did what I did.
Right.
And they're not ashamed of it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's almost how some NFL football players feel too, where it's like, yeah, I'm a grown ass man, I'm a warrior, I chose to live this life. If I'm a fucking vegetable in my 50s, so be it. Like
Right.
it's kind of it's the sacrifice of having the greatest 20s through 30s ever,
Right.
and then
Right.
probably having a shitty rest of your life.
And then comedy is the opposite. Comedy, you sacrifice your 20s and your 30s, and then when you're like 42 to 43,
Yeah, you might make some
you might
money.
make $100,000.
yeah. Once.
yeah. Wow, everything I worked for. And I
In
finally,
one season.
yeah, I finally popped at the age of 49. I get to play a talking grape on a commercial. Anyway, guys, this comes out in about 2 weeks. So do you want to plug anything? Check out the Irish Goodbye podcast on Gas Digital.
Yeah,
we had a
and
good time
iTunes
doing
and
that.
all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
you did. You were
Yeah,
delightful.
you were a great guest on it. Your listeners can. Your listeners. Do you have your own Twitter for this, or do they just go through your Twitter, like
Well,
to find out about the info?
I guess usually mine.
All right.
we don't
Yeah.
have
Well,
a
then
ton
just
of-
go to Mike Racine's Twitter. You'll see when he retweets about today's episode that it's available. And then check out I Am Mike Feeney on Twitter and Instagram, or MikeFeeneyComedy.com would be great.
Yeah, I am Mike Cannon. Buy my album. I think it just kicked in on iTunes, or stream it, Spotify, whatever. Just listen to it. And, I got dates up on my website, MikeCannonComedy.com.
Nice. And guys, please email us, sitdownpod@gmail.com. We read every email. Also, here's another thing I do. I tell people if they want to support the podcast financially.
Yeah.
My Venmo is Michael-Recine-2.
That's a great idea.
Made about $9.
Nice.
And it's nice 'cause it's like a one-time donation. They can
Yeah.
just, they go, they take out their phone. They go, "You're a fucking retard."
Did you get that from doing Misery
$2.
Loves Company? Donate.
Yeah.
What's the? Do they? They
But
can write
Venmo's
messages.
so easy. What's that?
They can write a message to you, right?
Write me a little message, yeah. And then the best thing you do is tell your friends. Support our Patreon. Blah blah blah. I don't like this. I don't like that housekeeping stuff with podcasts. Where
Yeah.
it's like the first 15 minutes.
It feels and people just fucking skip over it immediately until they hear some burst of laughter, and then that's where they start the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I also want to talk about a great thing that I have in my house. Ben Gay. It's the best. I rub it on my.
Yeah.
I mean, I have this, and I've put it on my body all the time, and it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And you guys got to go buy some right now.
Sponsored.
I'm telling you, it's the. There's nothing worse than a podcast host who gets so into what they're talking about.
You could just
Go
say
amped
Lewis.
up on it.
It's, yeah.
Hey guys, yeah. All right, we're out of here. Bye.
Play some music.
Play some music. Don't you dare edit a minute of that podcast.
I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave.
Searching for kind of love that we possess.